Sam Kellett was a Year 8 English teacher at the prestigious Glenangle International High School in Adelaide's eastern suburbs. He was one of a group of 7 people practicing for the York Peninsula Classic, a spearfishing competition to be held the next day. The divers were preparing to get out of the water and onto a shallow reef. They were within 10 meters of each other and 2 of them were very close to Kellett, said Jonathan Hammond, a friend and organizer of the event. The shark came and they saw it attack and there was a lot of blood in the water. There was nothing they could do. Friedrich Bergstoller was a 66-year-old male, a retired Austrian conservative politician, from Austria. He was together with his wife Marge at 60, when their 15-member tour group made a stop at Second Beach in Port St. John. He was in the water with his wife and facing shoreward when the shark attacked. Off-duty lifeguard Siswedu Subana heard the wife's screams and saw the man being pushed into the air as the shark bit into the lower part of his body. He then turned around to face the shark and tried to hit it on the head, but its jaws were open and his arm fell right between its teeth and the arm was gone, he said. They estimate that the man was alive for about 20 minutes after the attack, trying to swim to shore despite one arm being bitten off. Mick was a 38-year-old male who failed to surface after diving for lobsters with 2 friends several kilometers off Daylesville Cut, about 80 kilometers south of Perth. Remains, thought to be those of missing diver, were recovered 4 days later near the dive site. In a statement, police said a preliminary investigation indicates the male may have received shark bites. McGregor was a father of 2 and while it is believed that he had separated from his wife Emma, it is understood the 2 remained close. She posted a photo from the couple's wedding on her Facebook page on April 2nd, a post where many have expressed their grief. Christine Armstrong was a 63-year-old female from Tathra, a senior surf club trainer who had been swimming in the same spot nearly every morning for the past 14 years. Christine was out with 5 others, including her husband of 44 years, Rob, on a regular swim near the tiny south coast town when she was attacked. About halfway through the 800-meter return swim, Mrs. Armstrong turned around to head back to the beach alone, as she often did. I've never heard her say a bad word about anybody in her life. She's a very special sort of person, her husband Rob said. Mr. Armstrong said his wife had died doing something she loved and that he was sure she would have passed away quickly in the attack. John Petty was a 63-year-old male, a doctor and rancher from Texas, known for award-winning photography often done on high-adventure trips around the world. John was last seen on Sunday, 13th as he entered the water near Tiger Beach. Tiger Beach is a popular location for shark divers because of its large number of tiger sharks. Petty was part of an 8-person dive excursion but never surfaced with the other divers. 3 days later, the Coast Guard discovered dive gear believed to be John's, near the dive area. Petty was a Gilmer native who has lived and practiced chiropractic medicine in Longview, Texas, for 39 years. He ranched in Gregg and Upshur counties. Paul Wilcox was a 50-year-old male, a former IT worker, originally from England, moved to Australia about 10 years ago. Paul was attacked while swimming in shallow waters 15 meters from shore in Byron Bay. The huge great white latched onto Wilcox's leg during his daily swim, causing fatal injuries. Lawyer Mark Hickey, from Newcastle, told AAP, the shark came back to him and had another go. I didn't know it was a person, but when I realized I ran out and waded to the bank and grabbed him. An ambulance was called and he was pronounced dead a short time later. I don't blame the shark, said his wife Victoria, and didn't want the great white hunted down. Rameshwatha Oro was a 39-year-old male from Pales. He was part of a fishing trip near St. Brandon Island along with other fishermen, when he caught a shark which was brought on board the boat. The shark bit him on the arm. He died of shock due to blood loss several hours after he was bitten by the shark and while the fishing boat was still at sea. The fishing boat arrived during the afternoon of Friday, November 21, 2014, at the harbour at Port Louis, Mauritius, and the body was transported to the morgue for post-mortem examination. Daniel was an 18-year-old teenager with passion for aquatic adventure, a former Mossman State High School student. He was spearfishing with two friends when he was bitten by a shark. The teenager's mates made frantic attempts to perform CPR on the way back to shore, but he was pronounced dead when they arrived at Port Douglas. A helicopter wasn't available to fly to the scene because it was already en route to Townsville with a patient. But Queensland Ambulance Service spokesman Greg Thedek said the victim's injuries were so severe he was unlikely to have survived even if a chopper had been able to reach him quickly. He sustained massive injuries to his right upper leg, right groin and right upper arm, and suffered a heart attack, likely from blood loss, Mr. Thedek said. Jay was a 17-year-old teenager, a member of the WA Undersea Albany diving group. He died after being bitten on the leg by a shark while spearfishing with his friend Matt Poulela, at a popular fishing spot known as Three Stripes. Poulela, who fired his spear gun into the mouth of the shark when it turned to him after biting muscat, identified the shark as a 4 to 5 meter great white. People on board a passing boat pulled Jay into the vessel and tried to resuscitate him, but he died before the boat reached ashore. Mr. Muscat described himself on his Instagram page as just a young salty dog, spearfishing and fishing are my thing. Mr. Muscat also enjoyed sport and had been captain of Albany's senior high school volleyball team.